Good afternoon, this is TTT Live, Chalk City 91.1 FM and TTT Live online on Facebook. I'm Dike Rostant with your TTT News Update. MP for Laventille East, Morvant, ADRIAN LEONCE spoke with TTT about the protest action taking place the last few days in the country. He was speaking at the sword-turning ceremony at Cocoreed Farms, West Moorings, as he acknowledged that the protests came from deep emotional ground, but believes that the violence should not have happened.
Protests, I don't have an issue with. I don't encourage protesting, but peaceful protests I don't have a problem with. The issue I have is the violence that coming out of the protests. I think the residents are hurt, upset, about what they would have seen and what they would have perceived would have happened, and at the speedy resolution of that should come about.
Mr. Leon said it is difficult to console people in grief. The commitment of the police, however, he says is strong to pursue their investigations on different fronts in order to bring to the affected families a sense of justice.
People are in grief, and I am also hurt with what has been happening. I speak to one of the parents up to today. They're gonna bury their son tomorrow, and it's a sad thing. What really can you say to somebody who has lost a dear one? So persons are in grief, and we just have to be there to console them. Yeah.
Cabinet has approved the establishment of a community recovery program which will evaluate and design a path forward for communities in need, starting with those in East Port-of-Spain. The Prime Minister made the announcement during a media conference on Thursday. Before making the announcement, Dr. Rowley acknowledged the recent killings of 5 persons in East Port-of-Spain and offered condolences to their families. He noted the frustration felt by protesters and said it is only right that residents get a fair shot at success. The team will be led by Mr. Anthony Watkins, consultant and expert in social pathology, mental health, correctional services, and psychiatric forensic assessment, while other team members include the Minister of Community Development, Dr. Nian Gadsby-Dolly, and Director of the Children's Authority, Nicola Harvey Mitchell, among others. The Prime Minister also said that the program is an appendage of the National Roadmap to Recovery Plan, which was designed by the government to move the economy forward post-COVID-19. And the Human Resource Management Association of Trinidad and Tobago, or HRMATT, has been contributing to Toolkit workshops and seminars in this COVID-19 pandemic. They've also been sharing a webinar series, and this is our final installation of Conversations with HR, although we may be able to get a lanyap, where today we will speak with Nigel Marquez. He's the Human Resources Manager of TNTech and a past HRMATT President. We're talking about the current state of unemployment. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. I have questions, though. What are some of the things that HR professionals need to be aware of during this period?
Right. So, firstly, HR professionals need to ensure that they are there to support the CEOs as they move the strategy of the business forward. The businesses and the environment of business has changed. It has changed greatly, and we need to make sure that our human capital are ready to accept that change and take the business forward in the new way it may go. Whether it be a totally new entity or restructure, we need to ensure we're there to support that process.
And with that in mind, what are some of the first steps for individuals who find themselves unemployed?
Well, that has been quite rampant recently, and the reality of that situation is that we need to ensure as individuals, if we are out of a job, we have to sit and first of all assess ourselves, take a look, a step back, and recognize what we need to do to go forward. So basically our career paths could change, and maybe this is a time where we could use the opportunity to take that step into what we want to really do. In that case, we can look at ourselves, look at our future, get some skills. So upskilling is important, retooling is important, getting the skills that is required to take us to where we want to go. Basically, at that point in time, don't give up, but persevere on your dream and get that direction going. focus on it and ensure that you get what you want. It may take some time, but you should basically always keep that drive and focus going, and it will happen for you.
That begs the question at this point in time, because there have been conversations about whether or not it makes sense to go down the road of specializations, or should you become a generalist? Does this period bring that conversation to your mind, and if so, what do you think about it?
Yes, so basically, specialist jobs and job descriptions are pretty much going to be a thing of the past soon. So you will have to ensure that you learn a wider base of skills. So a generalist is very important. However, having specialist skills are also important, but you must also upskill. So while you have your specialist skills, upskilling and learning other things that would complement your job is important, because you are now more marketable and you have a better variety to bring to the table for an employer.
This is the second time you're speaking about upskilling. Can you give me a meat and potatoes kind of example? So if this is your X, these are some of the things that you may want to look at in terms of upskilling.
Okay, so you are a marketing professional and you are basically on the advertising side of it. You advertise, but you're not much into the corporate communication side, right? So upskilling may be you learning the corp com side, understanding the communications aspect, and blending the two so that you can actually go out there and become a marketing and communication specialist.
Okay, thank you. Now there's unemployment and there's unemployment. Can you give me some of the different types between dismissal, furlough? What are some of the other types? Because we're hearing a lot of terms being bandied about, not sure that we can use them interchangeably. So shed some light on that, thanks.
Okay, so basically in this situation we have, well, dismissals are usually for cause. So in a situation like this, it's not necessarily a dismissal of employment, but more so a termination. Furlough is really just a temporary termination where you are employed but not paid and not working. So you are basically temporarily laid off for a period of time until the organization can get back on its feet. So it's more of a frustration of contract. So a permanent termination, however, would be if an employer closes down business and retrenches, or, well, narrows its focus and retrenches some, or just changes the business totally. So you may be terminated in that aspect. However, now in terms of dismissals will only happen if it's a harsh and oppressive situation in the termination. So that's where it will be terminated. So basically, it's either a temporary or permanent termination you're looking at.
All right, now we have about a minute and a little bit left, but I want to get some input from you with regard to people who may find themselves contesting or defending unemployment claims. What are some of the things that we need to look at on either side?
Right. So basically, one, you must first of all know if you actually have a case. So the idea of unfair dismissals would come from if it's harsh and oppressive. If it's harsh and oppressive and against good industrial relations practice, it will be deemed unfair and it's warranted a case. However, in a circumstance, if a business is going through a hardship and there's no other alternative but to terminate, that would not necessarily be something that's unfair. So I'll suggest for the person who has been terminated, they should get, if they're not unionized, they should get advice of a union, because in Trinidad, under Trinidad law, you need to have a union that takes your matter to the industrial court. That's how we would deal with the employment type issue. So they should get the advice from the union to see if they are actually in standing for a case. If they do, they can take it forward. And on the employer side, they just need to ensure if they do anything, they do it properly with proper justification and make sure it's fair to all.
All right, so we want to thank you very much, Nigel Marquez. It's a delicate topic and one that sometimes we'll have a little dancing around, but thank you for giving us your perspective at this point in time, and we thank the wider HRMATT community for sharing their time and their insight with us in Conversations with HR. And remember, you can join us for live coverage on TTT, Talk City 91.1 FM, Sweet 100.1 FM, Next 99.1 FM, as well as on Facebook at TTT Live Online for all your updates. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of the TTT crew, I'm Dike Rostant. Bye for now.